Hello and welcome to Keys Decor, the podcast where we talk all things home, buying, decorating, and making your space feel like your sanctuary. I'm your host, Latoya Cooper, a realtor and former marketing professional who's passionate about helping you navigate the journey from house to home. Hello and welcome back to Keys Decor. My name is Latoya, and today we're going to be talking about something that is one of the more exciting but also kind of overwhelming parts of buying your first home. And actually, it doesn't even matter how many homes you buy, it's or whether you're renting or whatever, it could be exciting but overwhelming. And that is decorating it. So when you get those keys in your hands, you walk into your new space. It's a really special moment, so much excitement, but then reality sets in because you're starting with empty rooms and maybe maybe you have a couple of boxes moved in, you have your furniture kind of just set in the room, but you're still just thinking, well, where do I start? How do I decorate this space? Because every space is different. The size of your former space just may not be the size of your current space, or it could just be different. And so, it can cause a little bit of anxiousness when you are kind of starting from the beginning, trying to figure out how are you going to, how is this room going to be? How are you going to place items? How are you going to make it feel like home? So, it's not just about filling the space with furniture. You want it to feel like you. So today we're going to talk about some easy ways to help you get started without feeling overwhelmed. So by the end of this episode, you'll know how to figure out your personal style, what pieces to buy first, budget-friendly ways to decorate, and the biggest mistakes to avoid. And along the way, I'm going to be giving some listener challenges, okay? All right, so this will just allow me to be able to connect with you and just for us to kind of get to know each other. So go ahead and grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a glass of water, whatever you need. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, now before you start buying furniture and decor, the first step is to figure out your style. Okay, how are you going to know what to buy? If you go into, let's say Home Goods. Have you ever been into Home Goods? They have so much stuff. And it's easy to just love everything. Oh, I like this. I like this. But, we want it to kind of, if you want the home to feel like you, then ultimately, it starts with bringing in some of your style. Okay, because there's so many options out there when it comes to decorating. There's like farmhouse style, there's modern, there's boho, there's minimal. So it can be overwhelming. But I want to talk about some ways that you can find your style. For one, start with inspiration. Spend some time on Pinterest, of course. That is, I feel like, the go-to when it comes to finding inspiration. You can also use Instagram. Instagram is really easy to search basically your favorite hashtag. So if you, you can search hashtag home decorating and see what comes up, whatever sticks out to you, kind of look at that style and see, okay, well, this is more modern, or maybe the creator, they decorate in more of a modern type style, and then you can look under modern home decor and just kind of go through there and continue to get inspiration until you kind of find what really speaks to you. Make sure that you are saving those images so that you can go back to them, and you can even go to like Canva and create a virtual inspiration board. I want to say inspiration board, but more maybe a mood board, something that kind of has all of the pieces and the colors that kind of speak to you. Hopefully the colors will kind of flow But just pay attention to things like that, to the colors that are attracting you and the type of textures that you're drawn to and just the overall vibe of the spaces that really grab your attention, okay? Another way to find your style is to look at what you already have. Look at your wardrobe. Look at the colors and the patterns, and often the type of style that you enjoy or that you love wearing, it can often translate into your home decor. Do you love warm and fuzzy tones, or maybe you like more rustic or boho type style? Do you wear a lot of black and white? There's some people that, their wardrobe is predominantly one color. So, or maybe just neutrals in general. So, just pay attention to things like that. But also when you're trying to define your style, think about functionality, because if you entertain a lot, okay, well, you may need a cozy living room set up. You need to maybe make sure that you have enough seating for your guests. And I've been there before, when my family began growing, finding myself having to find more living room space, and but also trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to lay out the space so that I can get all of the furniture in that I need, specifically seating. So just think about things like that. But also, even things like, do you work from home? If you work from home, then having a functional office space is key. That's going to be important. All right, so now that you have a style in mind, let's talk about what you buy first. All right. It's so tempting to go on a big shopping spree and just buy everything at once, but please it's exciting, but take your time. All right. And let's start with the essentials. A good quality sofa, you can never really go wrong, because for the most part, you use it every day. So invest in one that's comfortable and that is durable, okay? A bed and a mattress, your sleep is important. Let me tell you, do not skimp on a good mattress. When we moved maybe 4 or 5 years ago into our townhouse, from our little apartment into a 3-story townhouse, that was the main thing that I knew that I was going to invest in, was in my sleep is important, and I had been having trouble, so I wanted to invest in a good bed and mattress. So that was one of the first things that we got. In the move, I didn't even take the old bed. I invested in a adjustable base and a Tempur-Pedic mattress. Okay, I was not playing games. Sleep is important. It affects your day to day. It affects your well-being. So make sure that you take special care to make sure that you have a good mattress. Okay. Now, dining room table is also important if you need it. I mean, if it just depends on if it's maybe it's you and a partner and you just prefer eating at the high bar, and you don't need a kitchen table. You don't want a kitchen table. So this may be important to some people. I mean, if you have kids, you may want a living room table. If maybe to eat, of course, share meals, share memories. I love that. For a family, I love having a table regardless of the size of your family. But for some people, you just may not need it. Okay? So, but if that's something that you feel like you need, that's a good place to start as well, is with your dining room table. Now, there's some items that you purchase that are more of an investment. And then there's some items that you can kind of save and maybe look at more budget-friendly places, like maybe secondhand stores or thrift stores, to purchase. The things that you really want to invest in, of course, are those main pieces: your sofa, your bed, your mattress, and also a sturdy dining room table, one that fits your family and whatever you need, the space that you need. But things that you can kind of save on, maybe look for at discount stores or secondhand stores, are your rugs, possibly your wall art for sure. I found some really nice wall art before at both Habitat for Humanity resale store and also at Goodwill. I've found a lot of really good artwork over the years. You can also save on trendy furniture pieces, or things like side tables, entryway tables, and things like that, because these are things that can be upgraded later. So when you're initially moving, you may not have a budget to buy brand new everything, but invest in those key pieces, your sofa, your bedding, and your dining room table. And then maybe look for more budget friendly ways, like going to Goodwill, or even stores that, like I would say, I mean, Home Goods isn't, sometimes you can find really good deals there and at TJ Maxx. So, kind of saving on those other things like rugs and wall art and those little touches, because those can always be upgraded once you get to a place where you have more money that you can kind of invest in those things. Now, a pro tip: make sure that you measure before you buy. All right, because one common mistake is ordering furniture that's too big or too small for your space. So always measure. Even if you're moving into a new home, and if your new home doesn't come with a refrigerator, make sure that you measure the space where your refrigerator would be. I mean, I know that that's not really necessarily part of decorating, but measure. If you're buying an area rug, even if it is, regardless of where you're getting it from, you want to make sure that if you're spending, that it's worth it. So measure your space. What size rug do you need? You don't want to get a huge sectional just to find out that it won't fit into your living room. So measure, okay? So I want to know, what is the first big purchase that you made when you moved into your new home, or that you plan to make when you do buy your first home? All right, so send me a DM on social media. I'm on Instagram at Latoya S. Cooper, and I'm also on Facebook as well. So just DM me, and I would love to know, what was the first big purchase you made, or what is the first big purchase that you would like to make? What's the thing that you're going to invest in first, okay, in your new home? Okay, now once you have your essential furniture, it's time to make your house feel like home. So, and this is where you can really have fun, right? So some easy ways that you can add personality to your space. For one, you can use throw pillows and blankets. Those are quick and affordable ways to add color and texture to your space. So don't forget about those. I've already mentioned area rugs. Those can help to define your space, especially if you have an open floor plan. The area rug can really be helpful in just kind of defining that, okay, this is the living room area. Okay, so, and then you have your wall art and framed photos. That's what really makes the home feel unique, because artwork is so unique to a person. Like, it's not something that, like, the type of artwork that I have in my home may not be the type that you like. And then, of course, when it comes to your framed photos, having those memories there of your family, maybe your friends throughout your home, that just really adds a personal touch. All right. Now, another way that you can easily add some personality to your home is with greenery and plants. Even the fake plants, they can add a little warmth to your space. All right, I love walking into a room and seeing green. I feel like they naturally kind of draw your eye. So Just an easy, quick way to add personality to your room. You know, but listen, you don't have to break the bank, okay? So please also take that away from this. I'm giving you some ways that you can kind of make your space feel like home and feel like you, but don't feel like you have to break the bank to do so, okay? And you can mix affordable decor from stores like Home Goods with a few higher end products, if you higher end items, if you have them. So don't be afraid to kind of mix it up, all right? But and also just decorating over time is okay. You don't have to move in and you bring your furniture in and then just decorate, do everything, have the wall art up and have the area rugs down, and you don't have to have it perfect from day one. Like, take your time and decorate over time. Right, now lighting is a game changer because it sets the mood, of course, and it makes your space feel warm and inviting. But there are different types of lighting that you can consider in your home based on what you need, and what you just like. Okay, for one, of course, there's overhead lighting. You know what that is. Your main light, your ceiling, your fixtures, maybe chandeliers, things like that. Then you have your task lighting, which are more like your desk lamps and your under cabinet lights and those small lights like that. But then you have your accent lighting, which are more like your candles, your wall sconces, things like that. Even uh, lamps would be considered accent lighting, table lamps or even standing lamps, but just couple of budget friendly tips. You can switch out your light bulbs for warm white or smart bulbs, okay, because that can also make a difference in your space. And using the floor lamps or sconces if you don't have built-in lighting, because I've definitely seen spaces that did not have overhead lighting. So, but you can always use floor lamps. I've lived places that didn't have overhead lighting. I want to say the apartment that we were in didn't have overhead lighting, and we only used lamps. But there are a lot of options if you need to, or just to switch up the lighting and just kind of give it a nice refresh. If you walk into the room and you don't like the lighting, or it just feels really harsh, consider swapping out your light bulb for something different, all right, for more of a warm white light. And just with the lighting, I did mention, candles as a source of lighting. I mean, you're not going to get a ton of light, but, just as a bonus, the candles also bring in scent styling. Now, my family, we've owned a luxury candle company since 2018. And so, the scent styling is always a must for us. But yeah, candles, they do bring that extra element. So, and not just candles, but diffusers, essential oils, layering in scent, adding scent to your space, it can completely change the feel. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. So let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid, all right? Because decorating is exciting, but there are a few common mistakes that you want to make sure that you don't make, all right? Number one of the biggest mistakes is buying everything at once. Take your time. You don't have to feel like you have to get everything at once. For one, that could put pressure on your finances, for one, feeling like you have to buy everything all at this one time. But also, you want time to kind of find what feels right. You don't want to be just rushed into picking up something just because, it matches the color that you like, or, give yourself time to really think about your style and to find things that you feel like will make the space feel special to you. Another common mistake is matching everything perfectly. When you add a mix of textures, it adds more personality to your space. But also, even when it comes to colors, you don't necessarily want a room where everything is the same color. For instance, if you like burgundy, I like burgundy, especially when it comes to furniture. I don't know. I just think it's such a beautiful color, in a space. So, like for instance, I may have, or I do have, a lazy boy that's burgundy. However, the rest of my furniture, a couch and two smaller chairs, are gray. Okay, and then I have throw pillows that have burgundy in the pillows. So, just mixing the textures, but also mixing the colors. It can add some personality to the space. All right. But also don't ignore scale. And that's just another common mistake. It's just furniture that is either just too big, or if it's too big, it's not going to fit. But also furniture that's too small. All right. So you want to make sure that it fits the space in a way that makes sense. Now, yeah, smaller furniture, it can give the appearance of more space, but and that's okay for staging a home for sale. But if it's a home that you're living in every day, you don't want to ignore scale. You want to make sure that the room looks balanced, and just make sure that the size of the furniture actually fits the space. Another common mistake, which I've already said before, is forgetting to measure before you buy. Okay? It's that important that I'm saying it twice. Don't forget to measure. All right? Listen, I want you to DM me and answer this question. What's a decorating mistake you've made, or that you're afraid of making? What comes to mind? What's something that you've done that was just, I wish I had not done that. Wish I'd done that differently. Or one that you're just afraid of making. Okay, of these mistakes. What's one that you're likely, that you would have been likely to make before listening to this podcast? All right. So let's just do a quick recap. All right. So decorating your first home. Number 1, you want to start by defining your style. Number 2, buy those key essential pieces first. Number 3, layer in decor and personal touches. Number 4, focus on your lighting and just setting the atmosphere. And then number 5, take your time. Your home will evolve. Trust me, it will. All right. Now, if you're currently renting, but you're dreaming of buying your first home, I'd love to talk. All right. Let's sit down for a free 15 to 20 minute buyer consultation. I'll walk you through the home buying journey, help you create a plan so that you can become a homeowner in 2025. Thank you so much for listening. Listen, if you found this valuable, please make the time to leave me a review. Those do help the podcast to be seen, and it would help the podcast to grow. Send this episode to a friend who could use these tips. And if you haven't already, make sure that you're following the podcast, or that you're subscribed, depending on what platform you're on. Okay? Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, stay mindful, stay inspired. Happy home hunting.